welcome back. Today we're working on a couple Sportsmans with some fuel issues and some clutch issues. This 850 here came in as a no start. I noticed right away that the fuel pump was not turning on. I could not hear the fuel pump. So we ordered a fuel pump for it. So I've got the front rack off, the front box off, and the front fenders off to gain access to the fuel pump. I also had to move the fuel pump or the fuel tank to the side so the pump would come out. I've already got the new pump in, and I'm cranking it now, and it cranks over very, very slow. I got a little distracted here. I fixed the customer's rear bumper for him. Now I'm taking the clutch cover off to gain access to the clutch, so I can look at the clutch as the engine's cranking over, make sure the belts aren't all bound up. A lot of times when you blow a belt, it can cause this sort of issue where it cranks over really, really slow. Now I've got the belt off, so it's just the engine cranking over, and it still cranks over really slow. If I crank it long enough, it stops cranking. So now I'm thinking it's starter. Burnt up starter. My theory is that the fuel pump died while the customer was out riding, and they cranked and cranked and cranked on it until it burnt up the starter. So, two problems here to fix. Could have just been one if we didn't kill the starter trying to start it, but it is what it is. Looks like I already got the starter in and tried to start it. I must be putting the clutch cover back on. We're getting the fuel tank reattached. There are two bolts on the top of the fuel tank that hold it in place. And we're getting this machine back together as it is all done for the customer. Next we have a Sportsman 850 X2. Came in because it would not move. The customer already thinks that there is a mouse nest in the clutch cover because when they are trying to get it to move, debris and stuff is coming out the vents, which I had the same thing. Primary clutch is stuck open. It would not close and grab the belt. So here I am disassembling the clutch and completely cleaning everything. Now, the thing that was inhibiting it from moving, was the button to tower clearance. And this, might have been most likely caused by mouse pee. Probably caused the buttons to swell. So here I'm cleaning up the towers, cleaning up the buttons, cleaning up all the sheaves that are corroded from the mouse pea, and reassembling the clutch here. Make sure the clutch moves nice and free by itself before reinstalling. Make sure the clutches work as they should before putting the cover back on. And we'll reassemble this machine and go give it a test drive. Now, this machine was here for a couple days. It all worked just fine. The customer came to pick it up and it would not move again. Clutch was seized again, so we ended up ordering a new clutch for it, just starting fresh for this machine. Next we have a Sportsman 570 up on the lift. Getting some fluid changes done. We're going to change oil, check coolant level, change front diff fluid, get the battery on the charger so we can get that topped off before we test it. Change gearbox fluid, put some new fresh AGL in the rear, some demand drive in the front differential. Top off the engine with some oil and a fresh filter. Check the air filter, check the spark plug. Test the battery. Now these newer Sportsman 570s, they put a bigger battery up front under the rack there. The older ones had a small battery that would cause them to stall the starter. I'm glad they changed that. Now the other problem this came in for was every time they go through water, it loses power. And what I found was the clutch backer grommet, I call it a grommet, and you'll see why in a little bit, probably, had dry rotted and there was a bunch of holes. So we had gotten one of those ordered. And here I'm taking the clutches off and you'll see what I was talking about here in a second. After we get the primary clutch off. You can see the cracks in that around the circle there, causing water intrusion in between the clutch backer and the engine. Here I'm taking apart the primary clutch one-way bearing, greasing that up, and we'll disassemble both these clutches, polish up the weight pivots, make sure the rollers are good, and blow out all the clutch dust. So this grommet is actually glued on. We have to cut that off and cut all residual RTV off before we can glue in the new one. After the new one's been put on, we can reassemble. Now every time I have these clutches off, especially when I do both of them, you gotta check clutch alignment, otherwise they'll creep and they'll be hard to shift. And that clutch alignment is adjusted by adding washers to the secondary clutch bolt. We'll reassemble this machine, give it a test drive, and call the customer. That's all for this one. We'll see you next time.